Hi, and welcome to another Harry's Hobbies video. In this video I'm going to be adding an LED to the back side of the diorama, because this was the area in the other photos and clips that you saw that once the diorama turned on its base on the turntable, you really couldn't see much right here. So we're going to use this little piece, and this actually comes from a 1/6 scale motorcycle model that I built a number of years ago. It's an extra piece, and we're going to use that as a lamp, and this is going to fit right into the corner of the building right here, right there. And it's going to jut up just a little bit. So, like in the other one, the first thing we're going to do is, I have already prepped out the LED, and I've got it ready to go. And we're going to do much the same thing that I did in the last video, and we're going to line this LED up and get the wires nice and together. And we're going to use a drop of hot glue, and we're going to put that hot glue right into there, and then we're going to press and hold the LED into place. And I'm going to touch just a little bit more hot glue right onto the edge. And we're going to let that dry for a minute. And we're going to pull these spider webs and angel hair off as well. And again, I'm using the hot glue at a very low temperature setting so that it doesn't affect the light itself. And then I'm going to do one test real quick of the light before I attach it to the edge of the diorama. And we'll put the batteries up. And we got the battery hooked up, and we can see now that the LED is working. So, now for this, I'm going to take the Gorilla Glue I'm going to add a little bit of this to that corner post that I showed you. And then we're simply going to attach this into that post. And I'm going to let that sit and cure for a couple of hours before I mess with it and run the wires to the base, which I'll show you in part 2.
3 hours later.
Welcome back to part 2. To refresh just a little bit, I installed this light on the back side to help the rear end of the diorama be a little brighter in photographs and videos and things of that nature. So, in this one, I'm going to take the wires that I've already lined up and I'm going to twist these two ends together. They won't stay that way. And what I've done is I've cut a hole that goes through to the underside, and you'll see that here in just a second. And I'm going to run the wires through. By just feeding them slowly through so that they don't get twisted up. And we just kind of tug those through. And then once again, we have to run the wires along the edge. I'll do that with a little bit more low temp hot glue to hold it at the top, and we'll push this into place. Just enough so that it holds it. And I keep my glue on the low setting once again when I'm using the hot glue. And it makes life a little easier. And it is if the wires will cooperate, which they don't seem to be doing. And that happens. Just have to get them wiggled around and into place. And this will be covered up. Weathered in. So that it matches the rest of the diorama. You can see a little spot of the glue kind of sticking out, but that's not going to be an issue. I don't sweat that part of it. And then we kind of tug the wires so that they get flush. With the rest of the model itself. And we get those pressed into place. And what I'll hold this in place in and hide a little bit more with is just a piece of trim that'll go around right here. I've not added the trim to any of the buildings yet. That comes a little further down the line, as I don't want to screw things up. And then as for the hole right under here, I'm going to take just a little shot of hot glue and close that hole up. I'm not going to concern myself with any glue that's hanging out over the side, because I'll be adding some grasses and things of that nature down the road, which will cover that up. Now we come to the underside, and we have to be careful because we have our other light kind of sticking out just a little bit. So to keep from bending that, I kind of want to prop it up a little bit. And then once again, I've cut the line with a soldering iron to melt the plastic underneath so that everything lays flat. And I'm going to take a small piece of black tape. I use black tape because it seems to hold with the hot glue a little easier, a little better. And to get this to lay just up underneath, take that black tape and wrap it around these wires. It doesn't have to be accurate because nobody's going to see this part of it anyway. And we get it up inside there. Take the hot glue and just add a little bit underneath to hold it in place. I'll add more later to make sure that it's sealed up in there quite. Yeah, shoot, you couldn't see that on the video. I didn't have the doggone camera lined up quite right. Yeah, well, and there's where I'm using the hot glue right now. But you kind of get the idea of, I'll turn it around this way, that might make it a little easier. And a little bit, touch of hot glue right underneath. Let's bring that camera up some. Hold that in place while the glue sets just a little bit. And here shortly we'll be ready for a test. I'm going to take the advice of somebody that requested that I turn off the overhead lights when I test these. And I think that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm only going to be firing up the one that we just installed. And I have to untwist the wires from running them through. Our test battery back. Place the wires into the test battery, positive and negative. And you can see it lighting up a little bit there. But I am going to reach up just to see what happens. We're going to kick off some of the overhead lights, and maybe that'll help. See that just a little clearer. Give it a little flash for you to see. And that's how I install this particular light. And as I said, we'll do some other little things to it to help hide the wires. And you're still going to have a little bit of exposed wires here and there, and that's not really a concern. And it shouldn't bother you too much, because I don't think it takes away from the completed diorama. So that's how that one was done, and I hope you enjoyed watching these videos. And there will be more to come. Thanks for watching.